Chernobyl is created and written by Craig Mazin, and it's directed by Johan Renck.
Yeah, and it stars Jared Harris and Stellan Skarsgård and Emily Watson. And let's say this: what's really surprising is it Craig Mazin, the guy? Yeah,
the guy who created and wrote it.
Yeah. If you decide to go back on his IMDb page, this guy has not really directed or written, not directed, but hasn't really written anything that great. He's written like some of the scary movies, and he's done like I think it was a superhero movie.
Yeah, he wrote superhero movie, and he wrote Identity Thief with Melissa McCarthy.
Some of the Hangover movies.
Yeah, 2 and 3.
2 and 3. So this guy, and not to say those movies, all of them are like bad. I haven't seen all of them, but not to say they're all bad, but just to say that like these movies aren't really anywhere near comparable to this movie. They're just completely different movies.
So
yeah, and so that was really surprising to just kind of see him get out of that comfort zone of his, you know.
Right.
And that was really nice to see. But so this show, I've been hearing about like all over the place. You watched it before I did, and there's 2 reasons why we have this review. Number 1, I just watched it today, and I really want to review it. Number 2, Hobbs and Shaw came out today, and to be honest, I know I know people may want to see it, and I understand that it's like a mindless kind of action flick that might be enjoyable. Honestly, didn't want to see it. So
until we start getting paid to do these,
so
we didn't want to go see it.
Yeah, so and we wanted to make sure we put a video up this week. So I watched this, and we're gonna talk about it. And I just wanted to say I love this show. The show is virtually perfect.
Yeah, it's I think it's the highest rated TV show in history. Is that correct? And it definitely deserves that rating. I don't know personally. I don't know if I put above Breaking Bad, but I can see how people can say it's better than Breaking Bad because it's definitely a pretty flawless show all around, pretty much.
Yeah, and just so you know, like it's only 5 episodes. It's a mini series. It's 5 episodes. That's all you're going to get out of it. So if you haven't seen it and you're trying to figure out if you should put your time into it, I would recommend that you put your time into it because it's really good. Every episode is pretty decently long, so just expect that. And I would say another thing to expect is the slowness of this show.
Yeah, it's a really slow-paced show. It's nothing like Chernobyl Diaries that came out a few years ago. But this is a really slow-paced show, and it takes its time. But at the same time, it has this intense feeling. It's kind of a different kind of intense feeling because it's slow-paced, but at the same time, you feel this the intensity of the situation that they're in. You feel the urgency that they have because there's so many things that could go wrong. So many huge, massive things that could go wrong if they don't fix this in a hurry.
Yeah, and one thing I love is, I mean, I don't really know necessarily if I would call it a spoiler, but I guess kind of. The show does start off with like the explosion.
Oh yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And I really do like that idea.
Yeah.
Pretty much showing like this one woman in the house, and then you hear the explosion.
Right.
You know, and you see it, and I kind of love that because it doesn't go for that really big shock factor of like, oh my goodness, this huge explosion and shot. Because I don't think this show's purely going for what the explosion looked like. The show's going for what it did to people.
Yeah.
And the effects that it had on people and how people would react to it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a very Hollywoodified type of show to where it doesn't go over the top. It feels really realistic. It feels really grounded in reality. And like you said, it more focuses on the aftermath, or not really the aftermath, but the consequences of this explosion that happened at Chernobyl.
Yeah, and honestly, I knew a little bit about Chernobyl. I mean, obviously everybody does, but not nearly to the extent of what the show showed us.
Yeah, I had to do a project in elementary school over Ukraine. That's like the only reason why. Well, it's not the only reason why, but that's the first time I heard about Chernobyl. Yeah. But I didn't really know too much about it. I was obviously in elementary school, so I didn't do too in-depth research on it. But
and this show really goes into kind of the corruption of government. Of kind of just showing that the main characters they are actually real people. There are a few kind of made up people, and I believe there was a character that kind of represented more of a group of people. Yeah, you know. Yeah, the lady scientist. Yeah. I forgot the character's name. Yeah, they all had like really Russian names. So. I honestly can't remember any character's name in this movie because they're really strange. They're really different names, and it's hard for me to remember them. But Like there weren't some of the characters weren't real, but they like represented like a group of people. But the two main characters, Stellan Skarsgård and Jared Harris, their characters are real people, and you kind of watch it, and it's almost just like you're watching these two people kind of just figure this out, and that's really the beauty of this. They're not trying to add intensity to this show. And that's what makes it feel real, but still given that sense of urgency that kind of puts you on the edge for the show. They don't feel like they're trying to make these people more stressed out than they actually were. They feel like normally stressed out people. They feel normally angry when they're angry, normally sad when they're sad. They just feel like people and we're just watching them. And that's really why the show is just so beautiful to me.
Yeah, and the acting is amazing, especially from the three main people, Jared Harris, Stellan Skarsgård, and Emily Watson. They did amazing. Which Jared Harris, I've only seen like in Sherlock Holmes 2, but I thought he was great in that. So this is only my second time seeing him, but he did amazing.
Yeah. Another reason why I love this show is it really gives kind of the respect it needs to give these people. Mm-hmm. It gives the recognition to people that you really don't hear about whenever people are talking about Chernobyl, unless they go into detail.
Yeah, especially since considering they saved millions of lives.
Yeah. There's this scene, which I'm not going to go into detail. There's these three guys that kind of risk their lives by doing something really dangerous, and you don't hear about them either.
Right. And they're still alive today, too.
Yeah, and so it's really nice. It's really cool that they gave these people recognition that they really, truly deserved. The main guy, Jared Harris's character, like we said, we don't know everything that's true, but you really get to see what went into this. What went into the planning and the saving of these people, and truthfully how good of people these guys really were.
And there's one episode which I won't really go too much into detail, but it did happen in real life, to where they had to like go and shoot a lot of the animals that were left on the land that was contaminated. And they spent almost an entire episode of showing just these people who were brought in, and some of them not even soldiers in the military. They're just young adults that were brought in to be a part of this team to go shoot all these animals. And it really deals with a lot of tough topics like that. And they do it really well. They do it really respectfully, but at the same time, it's a really dark subject, and it really kind of torments you emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I do love how they write the characters for this show. The two main characters are written amazingly, but there's also a lot of side characters that they like in that episode. It focuses on these three guys and them shooting the animals, and their characters, they're not a big part of the show at all. They're only pretty much in that one episode,
right?
But you actually somehow, they make you feel for these characters, who they are, and you understand some of them are kind of hardened,
right?
Because of their past. And you don't really get much more with them, but at the same time, you're like, I kind of want more of these people. Like I wish they would make another show where I could spend time with these three characters. You know? And that's honestly really cool that they were able to pull that off with just three characters. They actually focused on them and cared about these characters.
Yeah, and going back to the two main characters, Jared Harris and Stellan Skarsgård, I really love their chemistry together, because when they first meet each other, Stellan Skarsgård kind of comes off as like an a-hole.
Yeah.
And you don't really necessarily like him that much, but as they go through all this, and they're going through all the trying to fix this big catastrophe together, they really form a bond that you really enjoy watching by the end of it, and you really start caring for both of them, and you love seeing both of them on screen together.
And if there's one thing I loved about this show, it entirely respects its audience.
Oh, yeah.
It completely uses words that I don't understand. And I kind of really need to research things a little more. It's kind of like a thing of this is the words they would have used.
Yeah.
This is the words they would have used in their conversation. They wouldn't have said a word and then thoroughly explained it to the person, because they all know kind of all these words.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to do the same. They're not going to explain it completely to us. They want us to look it up. And so that's why I do like the show, is even though I do have a hard time understanding some of the things, it does fully respect its audience.
Yeah, and I do want to say that whenever they do finally explain exactly what happened, they do it in a way that, like my cousin said, I don't fully understand what exactly is going on, but at the same time, I can still, for the most part, follow exactly the steps that were happening that led to the explosion. And going through this series, trying to find just a weak spot, it's really hard to, but if I had to say one, it'd probably have to be the character of Dyatlov, the main guy who was supervising the safety test that was going on when Chernobyl exploded. They kind of, I mean, I obviously don't know how he was in real life, but I feel like they went a little over the top with how mean he was. Like, literally anything he said was extremely rude.
Yeah.
Like, he never said anything that was even, like, neutral.
I don't know that I believe anyone's 100% a dick, man.
Just the whole time, he was just this big jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just his whole character. And I know they were trying to set him up as the antagonist of the show, but at the same time, it was a little overdone, in my opinion.
So overall, guys, this show is really fantastic. It's pretty much perfect unless you want to kind of dig deep for kind of some flaws. And like we've said in the past, this is a percentage grade, so it's hard to like not take off little tiny points for nitpicks, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's why we won't give it a complete 100%. But this show really is worth your time if you have some time to sit down. Maybe I don't know, maybe have 6 hours off to the side.
Yeah.
Put this show on. It really is worth your time.
Yeah, it's definitely a slow-paced show, like we said. I do want to stress that because I know a lot of people are probably going to go into it expecting a really high-paced show, but this is definitely not that. But it is in other areas. It's still an intense show. It's still a captivating show that really draws your attention. And it's a really binge-worthy show, to be honest. And it's a show that I recommend binge watching because there's so many things that are going on, so many complicated things that it really benefits you if you watch it all together. That's why I did when I first watched it.
Yeah, and Zach was telling me, and why we watched it in 2 days is the reason why he wanted to make sure that I kind of binge watched it is because the show, like we were saying, it has some kind of confusing topics, and so you want to make sure that you keep all of those words fresh in your mind,
right.
All of those meanings fresh in your mind, so you can follow it out pretty thoroughly. We are going to say that Chernobyl is 98% awesome. Well, guys, if you like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about Chernobyl. And also, just so you know, we do have a podcast channel called the Padron Podcast. We'll put a link in the description below to that, just so you can go check that out.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2AwesomeMen.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.
I thought you said thanks for watching.
Watching?
Yeah.